And I will maybe start by congratulating all students who have chosen to be part of the EUNICE European University Alliance. This initiative, the European Universities Initiative, was born 5 years ago when we were celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Erasmus Plus program. And at that time, head of states and head of governments met at the Gothenburg summit to discuss the creation of a European education area. And at that time, they expressed how fond they were of this program and the impact it has on all young people and how it changes their lives and opens their minds. At the same time, they all agreed that only 5% of European students benefiting from such an opportunity was not enough, and that a new model had to be found. And this was one of the objectives for the creation of European universities that are alliances of higher education institutions from all parts of Europe, sharing a common vision, a common long-term vision on all their missions, education, research, innovation, all at the service of society, and that are aiming at sharing and pulling what they do best in a trusted environment. I am checking now some chat. Is it okay that you can hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
we can hear you.
All right, I was just wondering if that was an issue. Okay, I will continue. So this way, European Universities Alliances will bring Europeans together from north, south, east, west for a large majority of their students to learn during their studies how to cooperate between countries, between cultures and disciplines as well. And they will offer these alliances a much broader, wider, diversified and new types of education and training offered to their students who will be able to have a more learner-centered approach, which is one of the key objectives of EUNICE, choosing in a sound pedagogical framework what, when, where to study within the alliance to get a European degree. So students will have the opportunity to be actors of change during their studies by working on real and concrete challenges with companies, cities, regions, researchers and peers from different countries and disciplines. So students this way will be equipped with all the skills to thrive and to succeed in their future personal and professional lives. So by having chosen to take part in EUNICE, you are real pioneers as part of this journey to build the universities of the future. Now we absolutely need a future where academic excellence and innovation are linked to social responsibility and commitment, and where academics and non-academic partners come together to solve real-world problems. And this is fully in line with the European strategy for universities that was adopted earlier this year and that provides a long-term vision for the higher education sector in Europe for the coming years. So we see the European Universities Alliances as pioneers for implementing this long-term vision, this strategy, and for inspiring the entire higher education community. You are now preparing for the second round of Erasmus Plus funding for the next 4 years with a substantial increased budget up to 14.4 million euros for 4 years. So what do we expect from alliances like EUNICE? We expect you to present how you're going to make this ambitious European university a reality in your higher education institutions to mainstream all the innovative activities that you have been piloting in the last 3 years so that more students, more academics and faculties can benefit from the new innovative and interdisciplinary learning and research practices that you have been developing. And this European university can only succeed if you manage to implement real transformation at institutional level, and if you manage to embark all your staff and students in this great adventure. For that, you will need the support of each and every service in your universities for this transformation, starting from the rectors, vice rectors, deans, and also from all academics and students in your universities and your innovation surrounding ecosystem. The best way to achieve this is to have the overall strategy of each of your higher education institutions align with the strategy of EUNICE, so that all activities of each member contribute to the success of EUNICE. We are convinced that this will bring new perspectives, strengths, and energy to EUNICE to achieve a structural, systemic, and sustainable impact on higher education in Europe. EUNICE can be a key player to move towards seamless and new forms of mobility for a majority of students, staff, and professionals, be it physical, virtual, or blended, and having mobility fully embedded in all curricula. So we are looking forward to see the development also of interdisciplinary and transnational programs across your universities, striving towards a joint European degree. This includes as well embedding challenge-based approaches involving your innovation ecosystem, and the setup as well of a vibrant, multicultural, inclusive, and multilingual inter-university campus. And for this, we encourage all your students, staff, and researchers to really take ownership of EUNICE, be part of its development, and take, of course, advantage of all the great opportunities that this European university can bring to all of them and to all of you. And we are on your side to further support EUNICE beyond the funding. On the 5th of April this year, the Council endorsed a higher education package proposed by the Commission through all the discussions that we had with the European universities and higher education stakeholders, with the adoption of important Council conclusions on the European strategy for universities, but also a very important Council recommendation when it comes to building bridges for effective European higher education cooperation. European universities such as EUNICE have been key in the development of this European package, and we built on your experiences on leading the way towards a true European higher education in Europe. So the member states have expressed strong support for the European Universities Initiative, and also through a number of key flagships. So first, they have agreed to broaden the European Universities Initiative to bring to 60 European alliances, European Universities Alliances by mid-2024, involving more than 500 higher education institutions from all parts of Europe. And this will be supported with 1.1 billion euros from Erasmus Plus for the period 2021-2027, with complementary support from Horizon Europe, Digital Europe, and other structural funds. Now they agreed to work towards a voluntary and flexible legal status for these alliances for those who wish so. Nothing is compulsory. It's fully based on a voluntary approach. The objective is to facilitate those who are in demand to put together resources, activities, data, budgets, fully respecting your institutional autonomy. Another flagship is to explore next steps towards possible joint European degree. As a first step, we'll work towards developing European criteria for the award of a joint European degree label, Again, this is based on a fully voluntary approach. Here, the objective is to facilitate the delivery of joint programs in the context of transnational cooperation between several European higher education institutions of different countries. And based on the results of these pilots, we will explore, together with the Council and different member states, the further steps towards a possible design and delivery of joint European degrees at all levels, at bachelor, master, and doctoral levels, based on the existing Bologna instruments and all the support needed at national, regional, and institutional level. Now, the Council recommendation that has been adopted offers a range of measures to support you in delivering your ambitions within EUNICE. It is not easy to address all the challenges in so many aspects of your work, but we were very happy last week when discussing with your member states that a lot of national legislations are ongoing under revisions to really address the challenges that you are facing. So it's really, we see a lot of goodwill for change and to adapt. So you can see that your European University, and you mentioned in your introduction that it's not easy. It requires a lot of enthusiasm from all academics, from all students, but also adaptability, agility to be ready for changes. And we were quite happy to see the support from a number of member states. So you see that this initiative is really a catalyst for change of the entire higher education sector in Europe that can benefit not only those participating in these alliances, but for the entire higher education landscape. So it's not easy. We are there to support you. We have a common objective, and it's important that we all work in the same direction. And we are convinced that by working together, we will be able to make it a success. And I really wish you a lot of fun as well during this journey that we're all gathered together. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to your questions now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Vanessa Debiais-Sainton for the participation, the contribution here to this event. It's a pleasure for us and a great opportunity to have your contribution here. And we are going to open the microphone. We are going to open your opportunity. So if you want to think on any question, you can raise your hand. You can write the questions, or you can formulate it in Spanish, and I can translate to the plenary speaker. I would like to ask, well, here in Cantabria, we are a small region, like half a million inhabitants. And I would like to ask, I really think that this initiative of European universities can benefit a small-sized region like us, small, medium-sized university like us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Will you take several questions, or do you wish me to reply after each question? What do you prefer?
I think it's better if you want. You can ask the question one by one. We are going to collect more questions by our students.
All right. Okay. So I will reply to this question. So this initiative, indeed, the objective is it's not only to fund higher education institutions in the capitals, but it was very important from the very start for the head of state and governments to have a very inclusive initiatives. Inclusive in terms of different types of higher education institutions, be it comprehensive research universities or technical universities or universities of applied sciences, be it located not only in capitals but also in rural areas. And they have the potential, by working closely with their innovation, with their surrounding innovation ecosystem, by working closely with their cities and with their regions, they have the potential to really bring innovation and economic growth in their region. As I said, and I'm very happy to see that it's at the core of the strategy of EUNICE as well, is to really have an engagement of the students, of the academics, working closely with the needs of the cities and the regions to tackle together the specific challenges that your cities and regions are going through. So it's really this type of engagement that we are looking for, and it's very important also for the students to really have the opportunity to already during their studies act as actors of change and make really an impact, be it on climate change, be it on inclusion, be it on artificial intelligence, big data, any kind of challenges that your cities and regions may be facing.
We know that Vanessa Debiais-Sainton is a very busy person, so we don't want to abuse of her time. But we have, if you want, time for 3 more questions. One question would be, do you know how to, or is the impact of European universities going to be measured in any way? Do you have any way of measuring it, or are you thinking in any way of measuring this impact, or evaluating the impact that this initiative may have?
Yes, indeed, that's a very important question. And we are doing a monitoring at different levels. First, the executive agency, the IKEA, is doing a monitoring alliance by alliance with the midterm reporting, with the final reporting, so that we can really follow the outcomes of each alliance. And we are making an analysis of what we see for all alliances, and we are sharing that with the member states. So last week, for example, we were meeting the 27 directors general responsible for higher education in all the 27 ministries across the EU. And we shared the impact of what we've seen, for example, in the applications of last year, what the first waves of European universities envisage for the next 4 years. And we are now preparing a report on what we have seen in the midterm review of the first wave and second wave of European universities, and we'll do the same with what we have seen in the final reports. But also beyond that, we are now working on a monitoring framework to be able, if you want, to monitor the progress, not only alliance by alliance, but of the initiative as a whole. How is this initiative impacting the entire higher education sector? I mentioned, for example, that it triggers changes in the national laws, how to allow your institutions to be more creative, be more innovative when it comes, for example, to developing joint educational activities, so that you are not blocked by the national legislations, for example, when it comes to accreditation or quality assurance, or the percentage of language learning or digital learning. So we see that things are changing step by step, and maybe quicker than how it has been done in the past. So this is one way of monitoring the progress of the initiative as a whole. So now at the moment, we are discussing with European universities, with higher education stakeholders, and with member states. We are discussing the different criteria on which we want to monitor this initiative as a whole and how it brings impact to the entire higher education sector. And our objective is to provide a report to all the political leaders by 2024, when we will discuss the midterm review of the MFF, the multi-annual financial framework for all European instruments. It's a very important stage, milestone, because that will be the basis to discuss the post-2027 MFF, so the post-2027 European funding support. And that's very important to showcase the outcomes so that member states and political leaders can continue investing in this initiative. So it will be the opportunity as well to discuss a possible new investment pathway for this initiative in the future, as part of Erasmus+, but in synergy with other European instruments as well.
Thank you very much. Well, we are a peripheral region in the periphery of Europe, and one student asks in which ways are the physical distance issues being faced when organizing inter-university activities, inter-university alliances.
Sorry, I didn't hear properly the question.
In which ways can physical distance issues be faced when organizing inter-university activities? So do the alliances have a budget for facing these issues, for promoting interpersonal relationships and exchange of students, or do we have technological means, like for instance today, for addressing these challenges as a result of distance in universities like us that are peripheral part of Europe?
Well, so with the new, the next phase of the funding, the members of the European Universities Initiative will receive up to 14.4 million euros aimed at implementing that strategy. And here the voice of students is very important. So as part of this budget, they can use it to ensure that a key role and an active role of students, but also of academics in the governance of the European University Initiative, but also to contribute to any kind of joint activities when it comes to embedding in the curriculum transnational mobility, transnational cooperation. So then it's up to each European university to see how they want to make best use of this budget to implement the overall strategy of their European university. But they can also built on many other European funding opportunities. And I was discussing, for example, yesterday with the UNITA European University, where they told me how they use, if you want, resource reactions, the IT kicks, the Horizon Europe funding, to really use this European funding in the same direction. That is the vision set out in their European university. And what is fascinating is that cooperation existed before, and they were already making use of all these funding opportunities, but in a more fragmented way, not always going into the same direction. And the power of this initiative is to align and to put together all the forces, all the fantastic minds and brilliant minds that are present in all your universities, to really join forces and work along the lines of a clear and aligned strategy. And this is how you can make much more impact, and how you can really transform your institution in a systemic and structural way.
Thank you very much. And the last question is also by one of our students. Are you noticing an increase in the last years, or the last time? Are you noticing an increase in the number of universities that are joining this your initiative of European universities, or are you noticing an increase in the interest among universities?
Yes, absolutely. We are very happy that actually from the very start, there has been an enthusiasm from the wide higher education community And we're very happy to see that this enthusiasm is still there. And I would say that it has even increased. Even if we have seen enthusiasm from the start, there are still some subjects, which is all fine, of course. But now we see that among those that were the most skeptical, now they are very much very interested to join this initiative, either by joining existing alliances. Alliances have the possibility to expand to more partners or to create new alliances. So we really see a huge interest within the higher education community within Europe. But we also see more and more interest from higher education institutions outside Europe to be able to partner and to strengthen their cooperation with those higher education institutions that are taking part in such alliances. Because it's very attractive for them, because if they partner with your university, they will benefit not only from all the education, research and innovation offer of one institutions, but they will benefit from the joint efforts of 8, 9 higher education institutions, which is very attractive for them to partner with such alliances.
Thank you very much. And to finish this part of the workshop, the Vice Rector of the University of Cantabria, Professor Vanessa Debiais-Sainton, is going to make a question and comment to Vanessa Debiais-Sainton.
Thank you very much, Ms. Debiais-Sainton, for your participation and your words. I also have a question myself, if I may, if you have a couple more minutes for me. I am curious to have heard that the initiative intends to create some 60 alliances encompassing some 500 institutions until 2024. My question is, what happens after that? I mean, do the European Commission has any plans in mind to extend it to any other universities? So we know that many more are interested in participating in these alliances. Or is the Commission going to support all these 60 university alliances, or is there going to be some filter to continue supporting them afterwards? And in other words, this number of 60 is the fixed number that the European Commission has for the future, or could it shrink, or could it expand? Or what are the plans after this number is reached?
Thanks a lot. So this number of 60 is a shared objective with the member states. It was, if you want, a trade-off of having a critical mass, while at the same time acknowledging that it's so ambitious that it's not for all higher education institutions in Europe. And there are many other opportunities to cooperate with the Erasmus Plus program or other European programs. So once you create such ambitious initiatives, objective is, of course, for them to be successful. And that is why we want to support all these alliances, not only with funding, sustainable long-term funding, but also with all this policy support to accompany all these national policy changes. So it's really a long-term perspective. Now we are going to give you an opportunity of funding through Erasmus Plus for 4 + 2 years. So that would bring you up to 2028, 2029. So you have already a perspective for the next 6 years when it comes to the Erasmus Plus funding. Now, as I said, with this monitoring, these impact studies, we will discuss in 2024 in the context of the midterm review, what would be the next steps in the post-MFF. So within the next European instruments, post-2027. And I am convinced that the member states will want to continue. They are all agreeing that this is a fantastic initiative that paves the way for future changes and adapting to the new reality for the future of higher education. Now the question will be, do we continue with the grant model, or do we want to invent a new instrument that facilitate even more the synergies between the European programs, but also possibly with national and regional programs? So these are all discussions that we're going to start to have with the European universities, with the member states in the years to come. to prepare and to build the next steps under the next MFF. But you can be sure that it will continue being a key flagship. Now, whether there will be 60, whether there will be 55, I mean, it depends. It depends on what we will see. You know, nothing is automatic. The overall objective is to get the 60. To really find the trade-off between excellence and also inclusion. But of course, nothing is automatic. And we have seen, unfortunately, from the first wave, one has not been reconducted because they have not been able to show their commitment to the vision and the strategy that they had proposed. So that's really important. What we want is to provide the maximum support to those alliances to be successful, but nothing is given for granted, obviously. So it needs to be a shared and collective effort.